Na kaninang late evening nagkaroon ng balita na napako daw yung transparency server at hindi na siya nag-update, no? Linawin lang natin ng konti. Hindi ito transmission problem. Ang transmission natin ay maayos, umaandar ang transmission natin at hindi tayo nakakita ng problema. Katunayan, ang transmission natin is at 80% right about now. Ibig sabihin, yung mga resulta galing sa mga VCM, tuloy-tuloy ang pasok sa ating sistema. Saan nagkakaproblema? Nagkakaproblema yung nilalabas ng mga media outlets na galing doon sa transparency server. Ganito kasi yung sistema niyan, no? Medyo maskip. Yung resulta na nanggagaling sa VCM, pinapadala yan sa canvassers, sa central server, at sa ating transparency server. Ngayon, from the transparency server, merong application na nagtutulak ng datos na yon papunta sa mga media outlets para ma-report ng media outlets yung resulta na natatanggap ng transparency server. Doon tayo nagkakaproblema. Doon sa program na nagtutulak ng data from the transparency server to the media outlets. Doon lang. The rest of the transmissions are proceeding as planned. No? Ibig sabihin, yung transmission to the transparency server, walang problema. Yung transmission to the canvassers, walang problema. Yung transmission to the central server, walang problema. And that's an important point. Bakit? Remember na ang pinanggagalingan ng official data na magre-resulta sa proclamation ay yung napupunta doon sa canvassers. Yon hindi nagagalaw yon. Hanggang ngayon, umaandar yon. In fact, like I said, hanggang ngayon, nasa 80% tayo dyan. No? And it will get bigger as the night progresses. Ang nagiging problema lang natin, yung pagtulak ng data from the transparency server to the different media outlets. Yun lang ang nagiging problema. Okay?
So, bakit nagka-problema?
Ang cause ng problem is something that's being studied right now. Kaya nga doon sa kabila, kung saan nangyayari yung transparency operations, nandoon yung mga iba't ibang representatives ng media, nandoon yung kanilang mga IT, at sabay-sabay nilang pinag-aaralan yung sistema. Ngayon, medyo malalim yung issue. Medyo malalim yung problema, kaya hindi siya madaling isolve. Sabi ng iba, ba't hindi nyo na lang gawin para ayos na? Natuto na kami ng aming leksyon. Kung natatandaan ninyo, noong 2016, ganyan-ganyan yung approach na ginawa para ayusin yung isang maliit na issue. Binuksan yung server, binuksan ng walang authority, or at least ng mukhang walang authority. So nagka-problema tayo. So ngayon, yung ating proseso requires us, when it's this level of exploration into the system, kailangan may approval ng unbank. Kaya nga, right now, about 5 minutes ago, nagpadala ng memo yung transparency server doon sa NBank requesting for permission to basically open up the error logs para makikita natin kung ano ngayon ang naging problema. Bubuksan natin yung error logs. It's a kind of audit that's going to happen para makita natin exactly kung ano ang naging problema. Kanina yan, about 5 minutes ago, pinadala doon sa NBank. Maglalabas ang NBank, nag-commit na sila na maglalabas sila ng sagot either today or very early tomorrow morning para masimula na yung proseso ng pag-aalam. In the meantime, yung iba't ibang media representatives ngayon sa baba, dun sa kabilang building, dun sa transparency server, are now being allowed to look at the results as they are coming in. So hindi na sila kailangan maghintay doon sa tulak sa kanila. Okay? Now, I don't know how long that arrangement will last. Obviously, there are security concerns. Pero for now, as a temporary measure, pinapayagan sila ngayon doon. No? Naglabas ng order yung head ng transparency server operations na pwedeng tingnan ng media representatives yung raw data na pumapasok even though hindi na napupush sa kanilang mga terminal. Ulitin ko lang. Ang issue ay wala sa transmission. It is not a transmission problem. Although that's what it's been touted as in the early hours of this evening, no? But that's because there was a lack of information about it. So, Again, linawin natin, it's not a transmission problem. It's a problem with the application that pushes the data from the transparency server to the different media outlets. Okay? Yun lang. That's the program that is having problems. And we're going to solve it, again, by opening up the error logs and finding out where the problem actually lies. Hopefully, we can do that first thing tomorrow morning.
Sir, kasama yung PPCRV rin. They're having a hard time getting...
Yes, lahat kasi ng kumukuha from the transparency server affected. Okay? The transparency server itself gets data in a particular format, yung raw na sinasabi nila, and that gets processed so that mababasa ng mga terminals. Doon ka nagkakaproblema.
Would you know how long it would take for them to fix it?
Again, we're just waiting for the approval from the bank. I think the estimate is around 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. Baka okay na yan.
Sir,
No? That's the earliest. Yes.
80% of the data is already in here. By tomorrow morning, kaya, sir, we will get to know who are the top 12 senatorial candidates po. Since 80% are already in, sir.
Well, remember that you're looking at results supposedly from the transparency server na dadaan dun sa program na yon. Kung hindi pa naayos yung program, then you might have a little delay. Pag naayos na yung program, then you'll be able to get a good idea of what it looks like. Now, just as an aside, hindi affected ang transmission to the public results website. So in fact, you can check the public results website to make sure na pumapasok yung data. And again, bagaman walang consolidation na nagaganap sa public results website, technically speaking, if you had a calculator and enough time, you could actually do it yourself.
Sir, ng question sa credibility. Ano assurance sa public na walang nagalaw dito?
Again, there are transmissions ongoing through the canvassing system and to the public results website. You can back check that to see whether or not pag kumarga na kagad yung transparency server, whether or not it squares up with those two results. So it's checkable.
Sir, anong sagot niyo dun sa calls ng PPCRV, yung tatlong for broader participation, recording devices inside the transparency server, and yung yung logs, making sure that the logs are accessible and preserved?
Well, that's one of the things that the third one that you mentioned, that the logs are accessible and are preserved. That's one of the things that's being requested now from the bank, no? Which I guess means that we are taking these suggestions very seriously. The unbank, they're awaiting the memo from the transparency server.
Sir, I thought nag-forward na yung...
Yes, o nga. Pinapadala doon. Nandun sila sa PICC, nandito yung pinanggalingan ng memo. So, bumabiyahe.
So when is the NBank meeting, sir? So it's gonna be session?
Tonight. Yes.
Sir, this particular app na nagka-problem, ito po ba yung under po ng Smartmatic?
Well, the whole thing is a deliverable of Smartmatic. Yes.
Sir, usually kasi pag may delays dun sa pag-receive ng results, may assumption na baka may danger or may
Right.
risk of manipulation. What do you say to that?
We acknowledge that this aspect exists, no? Kaya nga sinasabi natin checkable itong data natin, which means you can back check the data when the data from the transparency server becomes available, you can back check it to make sure na walang nadagdag or walang nawala. That's the best guarantee we can give. Again, this is a situation we find ourselves in. It's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but it is where we are. So the best we can do is give you guarantees, in the sense that we know where the data is, we know how much is being added, and we know that we can back check it at any point.
Sir, how long will it take to resolve the situation?
We hope that by tomorrow morning, resolve na siya.
Sir, itong application that's used to push the information from
Yes.
the transparency server to the media outlets,
Yes.
the same one we used 3 years ago.
Yes.
So
That's what we're trying to figure out. We don't know what went wrong.
Sir,
Okay.
pag-ayos yan, sir, pag yung resulta po ba ay
Hahabol.
bagsakan or
Isang bagsakan yan. Isang bagsakan yung hindi niya na-transmit noon, parang hahabol yan. Kumbaga sa sweldo, differential yan. Oo. Exactly. I am not familiar with the terms of the contract, especially the punitive terms, but I would expect that this is something that needs to be looked into by our legal.
So sir, no indication na may external...
No indications of any external agency affecting this.
sir, earliest time na magsisimula?
Again, hopefully by early morning today, we can have this fixed. Early morning, 4 a.m.
So definitely, sir, no new numbers, sir.
Not from the transparency server, no. But again, this does not mean na hindi pumapasok ang data. Pumapasok ang data, hindi lang natin nakikita kasi right now, we are all sort of oriented towards getting the output from the transparency server.
It's extraction of the data. Yun
Yun ang problema.
So, linawin lang sir dun sa may PICC.
Whoop.
Ang tinitingnan ngayon ng media, ang inaalaw sila makita ay yung pagpasok ng mga data.
Ang nakikita nila doon sa media doon sa aming LED board, I think is transmission data from the like VCMs, no? So merong ongoing updating doon. Oo. Yung direct from the central ata. No, but it's not the transparency server. So hindi siya affected.
Yung 80% transmission as of what time?
Well, the last time I heard the 80% was about 10 minutes ago.
Sir, when do we expect po a change in the numbers po?
Tomorrow nga. Tomorrow. Tomorrow, yes sir. Tomorrow.
Ibig sabihin, sir, kapag hindi pa siya naaayos, hindi pa rin po makakapag-transmit for the media at hindi pa rin natin
Hindi siya makakapag-push. Okay, again, I don't want to use the word transmit because it's not about transmission. It's about pushing the data that's already here to a different place that's also here. You've been to the room, right? You've been to that room. This is where the transparency server is. This is where the media outlets are. It's a simple matter of pushing the data from here to here. Yun lang ang nagiging problema niya. So, hanggat hindi naaayos yung link na yon, itong mga media terminals na to, hindi sila makakapag-update. But the media representatives are able to look at the raw data coming in through the transparency server.
Hindi ka
Can they hear that live?
in percentage ngayon, sir. I mean, same as this one.
I don't know what this one is now. I don't know what this one is now.
Yung names, then percentage, yung number of votes.
I think iba ng konti yung interface, but it's essentially the same data.
Sir, can you explain paulit lang po yung it's in the same place, this transmission server and then the transparency server and then
Okay, ang setup ng ating transparency server ganito. Papasok yung data sa transparency server. Yung transparency server nakakonect yan sa mga iba't ibang terminals ng media na naka-arrange in the same room. Mahaba yung kwarto eh. Okay, mahaba yung kwarto, nandito yung transparency server, nandito yung terminal ng television A, television B, television C, television D, newspaper 1, newspaper 2, and so on and so forth. So yung iba't ibang media outlets nandyan. So the problem that we're getting is that the data that's here, yung 80% na data, nakatumbas ng data na natatanggap ng central server, halimbawa ng transmissions na gagaling sa VCMs, hindi niya maitulak papunta dito sa mga media terminals. And kaya hindi nare-report. Remember, ang issue so far all night is that the media is not able to update their reports. Yung media nakapako sa ganito. Everyone assumes it's a transmission problem because that's the easiest explanation, but that's unfortunately not the right explanation. The right explanation is that pumasok yung data, walang problema, but hindi natin maitulak yung data from the transparency server to the media terminals. And that's all of
in
it.
the same place.
They're both in the same place.
And if you need to check it,
If you need to check it, you can actually go to where the transparency server is. They have a projection screen up there, and the representatives of the media can actually look at it there.
They can update their
They can update that, but they cannot update the monitors that they use because the monitors are designed to take data from the transparency server. But there are other ways of reporting the data, so they can do that.
So, sir, recording devices
Hear
now
that live?
allowed inside the transparency server?
I'm sorry?
Are recording devices now allowed inside
No.
the transparency server?
No.
It's
No.
one of the calls of PPCRV.
Right,
Said
right.
that-
But it's a recommendation, so we'll see what happens.
We're allowed to use the information in the transparency server.
I would expect so because again, this is a temporary measure. Like I said, I don't know how long this arrangement will last, but as a temporary measure, it has been allowed. Okay? All right. Thank you.